When Tang Long opened his eyes, he felt that his brain seemed to be smashed by a big pound, buzzing. It was dark all around, and the mist was surging, and there was a scent of moist earth in the air. He looked down and saw that he was lying on a cold grass, wearing a torn linen cloth, and without even a weapon on his hands. What is this? Tang Long slapped his head, tried to recall the picture, and found that his memory was blurred. He only remembered that he was playing in the dormitory and stayed up late to brush the dungeon. As a result, his eyes turned dark and he suddenly opened and he arrived at this ghost place. Before he could clear his thoughts, a rustling sound suddenly came from the grass. Tang Long felt nervous and stood up suddenly, but he found that he was powerless and was free to stand. The next second, several small monsters with sharp teeth and claws rushed out of the smoke, their eyes flashing green, and they roared and rushed towards him. Damn it! What kind of thing is this? Tang Long took a few steps back with a scare, and his foot slipped down and fell directly to a dog chewing on the mud. Those little monsters didn't care whether they were wolf-shaped or not. They opened their bloody mouths and their claws were already grabbing his brain. It's over, this is going to be cool. Tang Long looked in his heart, and he crawled around and wanted to hide, but he couldn't escape these monsters. Just as the paw was about to touch him, a dazzling silver light suddenly fell from the sky, directly covering the few little monsters. Who dares to be good at the illusion domain? A vibrant and majestic female voice burst into tears, which made Tang Long's ears numb. He looked up and saw a blurred figure of female appeared in the mist, with a faint light ray around him. Although he couldn't see his face clearly, the high aura made people want to kneel down. Fantasy domain? Sister, I don't know why it happened. Tang Long swallowed and tried to explain it. The few little monsters were forced to move and could not be moved by the light, and they burst into low mourning. The goddess-like voice echoed again, carrying a silence, since it is fate that brings you here, I will give you my blessings to help you survive in this unknown place. But remember that this blessing is not normal, and the effect comes at random. Whether it is a blessing or a fortune depends on your enthusiasm. Blessings? Random? Tang Long was confused and had not reacted yet. The light had turned into a silver piece and diamond into his body. Then, the goddess figure flashed and disappeared without a trace, and the pressure on the small monsters was lifted. Hey! Sister, you're clear! Tang Long shouted, but only answered him with a low growl in the mist. The few little monsters came back again, and the speed was faster than they were just now. Damn, what blessings are there? It's useless. Tang Long fucked, lifting a branch on the ground and dancing around, but the branch was as crisp as paper, and it broke when it hit the monster's claws. The next second, a claw slapped over his arm, and the blood instantly poured out, making him scream. Ah! I'm going to die. Tang Long covered his wounds, only hope was left in his heart. But at this moment, he suddenly felt a strange heat flowing in his body, and a golden light flashed through his wound, and his whole body seemed to be covered in chicken blood, filling his body with strength. Ding blessing touch, short and unobstructed, lasting for 10 seconds. A mechanical sound echoed in his brain. Is there any enemy? Tang Long's eyes lit up. He looked down and he saw that his body was actually wrapped in a light golden light cover. He tried to slam the fist, feeling so powerful that he could smash the stone with one punch. Come on! Who are you afraid of? Tang Long roared and rushed towards the few little monsters. The monsters were smashed by him without reacting, and when they landed, they turned into a black mud. In 10 seconds, he was like a war god possessed, and he didn't even have the chance to get some small monsters, and he was killed in seconds. Who? As soon as the invincibility ended, Tang Long Lima sat on the ground, panting. The wound was still there, and his blood was covered in pain, making him grin. This blessing is quite a bit flirty, but it's a bit unreliable. Tang Long said to himself. He wanted to check the wound, but found that there was a small glass bottle on the ground, with blue liquid inside, flashing with a glimmer of light. He picked up and looked at it. There were several small words engraved on the bottle, magical recovery medicine. What is this? Tang Long curiously pulled out the bottle plug and heard it. It didn't smell much. He hesitated for a moment, and gritted his teeth and took a small sip. The next second, a miracle happened. The wound on his arm was sluggish at a speed visible to the naked eye, and even a little scar was left. He was exhausted and empty, and he even felt that he was more energetic than when he was traveling through time. Damn it, this medicine is buffalo. Tang Long's eyes lit up, and Lin Ma put the bottle in it, protecting it like a treasure. He secretly swore in his heart that this thing could save money and might save his life in the future. At this moment, a rapid sound of footsteps came from the mist far away, and then a crisp female voice suddenly echoed, "Who is there? Are you brave enough to behave in the mist forest?" Tang Long was stunned and turned around and saw a girl wearing light armor walking out of the mist. She held a long sword in her hand, and there was still black blood dripping from the sword blade, which seemed to have just experienced a battle. The girl had short hair, delicate facial features, and a hint of heroic spirit in her eyes. When she saw Tang Long, she was stunned at first, then said with a brow, "Who are you? Why are you dressing like a beggar? Hey, is it good to be a polite? My name is Low-Key." Tang Long curled his lips, stood up and patted the soil on his body. "My name is Tang Long. When I got here, I didn't know anything. Where are you?" The girl looked him up and down and snorted, "My name is Luo Shaoqing, and she is an adventurer. You are alone in the misty forest, and you are quite stupid. There will be monsters here at any time, and I dare not act alone." "Devil? Are those little monsters just now?" Tang Long pointed to the black mud on the ground. Luo Shaoqing looked at it and was surprised. "You are dry. You can't tell. You are pretty good at fighting." The weather is just good." Tang Long slapped his head, not embarrassed to say that it was based on blessings. He pointed to the mist around him and asked, "What's going on here? Why are there mists everywhere and you can't see anything clearly?" Luo Shaoqing put away his long sword, leaned on a tree casually, explained, "This is the foggy forest of the illusion domain, belonging to the outermost map area. There are many hidden treasures in the forest, but more of them are dangerous. It is said that only by unpacking the map group can you get out of here and enter the next area." "Map group?" Tang Long's eyes lit up, and a burst of excitement ignited in his heart. He had originally loved playing games, and his favorite thing was to explore unknown maps. Now that he heard this setting, he became interested in llama. Yes, the mystery forest group is hidden in several specific places, and it needs to be found to unravel. Luo Shaoqing sighed. "I came here just to try the energy, but unfortunately one person is too dangerous and has little progress." "Then let's have a companion." Tang Long Lima proposed and patted his chest. "Although I don't look good, I can beat me at least. You are responsible for protecting me. I am responsible. I am responsible for making suggestions. What's the case?" Luo Shaoqing was stunned for a moment, then chuckled, "You are quite funny. Okay, anyway, with more people and more efforts, I may be able to break the sect faster. But let me say that I may not be able to take care of you when I encounter danger, and I will be the only one who can do it." "No problem." Tang Long grinned and thought to himself, with strange blessings and medicine in his hand, what is danger? Maybe I can still touch an invincible state and directly wipe out everything. Luo Shaoqing pointed a little and turned around and walked towards the deep mist. "Then don't waste your time. There may be a wire hidden in the place in front. Please follow me and don't lose your team." Tang Long hurriedly followed and walked around and looked around. The trees in the mist forest are so tall that they are full of moss. Occasionally, you can hear the growls coming from afar, making people creepy. He was a little scared, but when he thought of his blessings and medicine, he had a little more energy. "Shi Qing, what else is there in this forest besides the magical beast?" Tang Long couldn't help but ask, trying to learn more about the situation. Luo Shaoqing didn't reply and replied casually, "I've gone too much. I heard that there are plants that can speak humans deep in the forest, and phantom monsters that can confuse the mind. The most irritating thing is that the magic rules here are different from those in the outside world. The mist will interfere with your perception, and you may get lost if you are not careful. Magic rules? Tang Long was stunned. This sentence sounded quite high-spirited, but he had no idea at all. Yes, every map area has unique magic rules. If you can't meet it, you can only wait for death. Luo Shaoqing glanced at him, and said with a little talk in her voice, "You won't even know this, right? I really doubt where you came from." It's not long before I'll learn to finish it." Tang Long laughed, and he became secretly alert. It seems that this illusion is even more complicated than he imagined. It is not enough to rely on blessings and medicine alone, but it also needs to learn to adapt to the environment. After the two left for a while, Luo Shaoqing suddenly stopped and made a move to silence. Tang Long looked at her, and saw a stone tablet appearing in the mist in front of him, with some unintelligible runes engraved on it, emitting a faint light. "This should be one of the ropes," Luo Shaoqing said in a low voice, with an excited look in his eyes. "Be prepared, you may be able to touch the defense mechanism when approaching the stone tablet. Be careful." Tang Long clicked a little, and his heartbeat couldn't help but speed up. He clenched his fists and was ready to face unknown challenges at any time. Tang Long followed Luo Shaoqing carefully approached the stone tablet that was emitting glimmer. A pressured breath filled the air, as if something would come out of the mist at any time. He felt his heart up and down, and his hands were unconsciously touching the magical recovery medicine bottle in yen, as if he had grabbed a life-saving straw. "Don't be stunned, pay attention to the surroundings," Luo Shaoqing reminded in a low voice. The long sword was already in his hand, and his eyes were sharply swept around. Her posture looked extremely professional, which made Tang Long feel relieved. "Don't worry, I'm sharp-eyed." Tang Long's mouth was hard, but his steps were still subconsciously approaching Luo Shaoqing for a few minutes. The two walked to the stone tablet. The runes on it seemed to be alive, slightly flashing, as if passing on some kind of information. Luo Shaoqing looked at the steel with his eyebrows, stretched out his hand to touch the stone tablet, and muttered in his mouth, "This should be one of the traces of the misty forest. The runes may be some ancient magical language. If they can be interpreted, they may find the way to the next area." "Magic language? I don't understand this." Tang Long slapped his head and looked closer. The runes were like ghost talismans, and they couldn't tell anything at all. He tried to poke with his finger, but the stone tablet suddenly shook and a low sound of slutty came out. "Hey! What are you fucking?" Luo Shaoqing was startled and hurriedly pulled him away, but it was too late. A sudden sound of stomp came from the mist, and then, more than a dozen magical beasts with a size larger than the previous small monster came from all directions. They were wearing wolf heads, covered with tablets, their claws were so sharp that they could easily tear the steel wire, and their mouths were filled with murderous roars. "Wolf bamboo! It's so puzzling." Luo Shaoqing gritted her teeth and quickly slapped her in a fight. The long sword hugged her. "This thing is much stronger than those little monsters just now. It's fast and has higher defenses. I can still deal with it if I fight alone, but this is a group." "What? A group?" Tang Long swallowed, looking at the wolf larvae getting closer and closer. His heart bulged. It didn't take long for him to travel through time, but he had never seen such a battle, and his calves began to become soft. "Don't be stunned, find a chance to run. I'll hold them." Luo Shaoqing shouted loudly, and the long sword sniffed, and the sword's aura was directly towards the wolf's croaker in the front. The magic yelled, and the phantom was cut into a hole, but it was quickly rolled up again, without any injury. The other wolf beasts also joined the battle, and their claws and teeth kept attacking Luo Shaoqing, forcing her to resist. When Tang Long saw this strut, he didn't dare to run away. He gritted his teeth and rushed to Luo Shaoqing's body. He lifted a thick branch on the ground and danced around. "Shiqing, don't force me, I'll help you." "You're helping me. Run!" Luo Shaoqing roared at the claws of a wolf's beast. But Tang Long was not willing to listen to it. Although the tree branches were not very harmful, they could at least attract the attention of a few demons. He smashed the wolf's brain with all his strength, but the branches were splashed and he was slapped by a claw and fell heavily to the ground. "Oh, It hurts so much. Tang Long covered his chest, feeling his ribs breaking, and blood spilled out from the corners of his mouth. But at this moment, a familiar heat surged in his body, and the mechanical sound came to his brain, ding blessing touch, funny and ridiculous state, lasting for 15 seconds. Effect: the enemy will be attracted by the force, and the attacking intention will be turned towards you, and the enemy's attack accuracy will be reduced. Funny ridicule? What's the thing? Tang Long was stunned. Without reacting, he found that his body stood up uncontrollably, and then, he began to dance, and a bunch of inexplicable ridicule appeared in his mouth. Hey, come on, are you such a group of silly dogs? Even I can't catch the wastewood, go home and go to the fields. Tang Long. Are you crazy? Luo Shaoqing was stunned. She watched Tang Long twist and twist in the group of wolf beasts like a clown, and kept picking her mouth. But what's more interesting is that those wolf beasts were really attracted, and they gave up and attacked Luo Shaoqing, and turned towards Tang Long. But their attacks seemed to be interfered by something, and their claws almost ran into Tang Long. As a result, they had to be empty and collided with each other, and the scene was in a mess. Ha ha, come on, catch me. Tang Long was stunned by himself, but his body was still dancing uncontrollably and mocking him, and his heart was both funny and scared. He took advantage of the turtle of wolves to get into the ground and ran away, running around, shouting, Shaoqing, run quickly. Don't worry about me. Luo Shaoqing came back to her senses only now. Although she didn't know what happened to Tang Long, she had a chance. She hid out of the encirclement circle and reached a safe distance in just a few yards. Looking back, Tang Long was still performing in the wolf-beast group. The demons seemed to have been dropped by the Zhiguang ring and could not catch him at all. In 15 seconds, the funny state on Tang Long's body disappeared. He returned to normal, and his body was soft and he almost knelt down. He shouted at Luo Shaoqing panting, "What are you watching? Run!" After saying that, he ran away, and the wolf-croaker group reacted and roared and chased after him. The two people ran wildly in the misty forest, one in front and the other behind, and the roar of the wolf beast was getting closer and closer, and Tang Long felt that his lungs were about to explode. At this moment, a humble voice suddenly came from the mist in front of me and shouted, "Who is noisy, so that I can calm my mind?" Before he finished speaking, a wave of storm rolled out from the mist, directly overturning the wolves chasing in front, smashing them into the tree. When other monsters saw the situation, they let out a low growl, but they didn't dare to chase them anymore, and retreated back to the depth of the mist. Tang Long and Luo Shaoqing stood there in a daze, panting and looking around, only seeing an old man in a gray robe walking out of the mist. He was hunched, full of white hair, and was leaning on an ancient wooden stick in his hand. His eyes were so sharp that he could see through everything. The old man glanced at the two people and said in a cold manner, "The two little ones are quite stingy, but they dare to cause trouble in the mist forest. Foreign, we didn't mean it." Luo Shaoqing hurriedly explained, with respect, and obviously knew that this old man was not simple. Tang Long looked at the old man up and down, muttering in his heart, "This person looks not easy to mess with, but his temper is so bad that he is definitely a big boss." He stood up and smiled, and stepped forward and said, "Old, thank you for saving your life. My name is Tang Long, this person is Luo Shaoqing. We are here to unleash the forest group, but unfortunately we are not strong enough and we almost broke up." The old man snorted and said lightly, "My name is Ilay. I live here and don't like being beaten up. The mysterious forest group is not a secret. Every map area in the illusion domain has unique magic rules. Only by unblocking the group can you unlock the road to the next area. You are so reckless and cannot save your life. How can you explain it? Magic rules? Unlocking the map?" Tang Long's eyes lit up, and he became interested. "Foreigners, you know so much. Can you point us one or two? We really want to explore the illusion domain and become the strongest adventurers." Ilay glanced at him, his eyes flashed with a flash of excitement. "The strongest adventurer? Humph, you're not a little angry. You haven't even touched the core group of the Misty Forest, so let's live first." Luo Shaoqing heard the core group and hurriedly asked, "Foreign, where's the core group? We just found a stone tablet, but we were attacked by the wolf zombies before we could read it." Lei pointed at the head and turned around and said, "The stone tablet is just an introduction. The real core group is on the sacrificial for the deep forest. Come with me. If you have the ability to explain the group, I will point you a few points. But if you fail, don't blame me for not caring about your life or death." Tang Long and Luo Shaoqing looked at each other, and a desire aroused in their hearts. Tang Long patted his chest and grinned, "Don't worry, I am so lucky, I may be able to unlock it." Lei ignored him and walked straight towards the deep mist. The two of them kept following each other. Along the way, Lei would occasionally point out a few sentences to tell them the magic rules of the Forest of Misty. Misty here would interfere with perception and must rely on the guidance of specific runes to find the correct direction, otherwise they would only become more and more confused. After about half a minute of leaving, the three of them finally arrived at the center of a clearing land, where an old stone fortress was erected. The fortress was surrounded by complex runes, and a crystal stone with blue light was embedded in the center. Lei stopped and said in a deep voice, "This is the core group of the Misty Forest. The fragments of the map are sealed in the crystal stone. Only by unblocking the rune method can the fragments be released and the road to the next area is opened." Tang Long looked closer and saw that the runes were more complicated than those on the stone tablet, which made him dazzled. "How do you solve this? You can't understand it at all." Lei said coldly, "Runishing magic requires magic perception and logical deduction. If you can't do anything, give up as soon as possible to avoid losing your life in vain." Luo Shaoqing gritted her teeth and said, "Let me try it. I have learned some basic rune knowledge, or maybe I can find rules." She began to observe the runes carefully, and compared her fingers in the air to try to deduce them. Tang Long stood aside, unable to help, so he could only be anxious. At this moment, he suddenly thought of the magical recovery medicine in his heart and felt a little excited. In addition to being able to use wounds, this thing can also improve its abilities in a short time, and it may help him. He quietly took out the bottle and took a sip while the two of them were not paying attention. In an instant, a warm current swelled all over his body. Tang Long only felt that his brain became unusually clear. Although the runes in front of him still couldn't understand, he just told him that the arrangement of some runes seemed to be in accordance with rules. He couldn't help but open his mouth and said, "Shi Qing, do these runes look a bit like the group on the left? It's like a certain kind of corresponding structure?" Luo Shaoqing was stunned. When he looked in the direction he pointed, he found clues. "Yes. This is the right method. As long as the corresponding rune is activated, the first seal can be unbuttoned." She quickly touched the rune according to Tang Long's prompt. The blue crystal stone on the fort suddenly flashed, and a crisp sound came out, and the first seal was broken. Lei raised his eyebrows and looked at Tang Long with a strange look. "Shaoli, I didn't expect you to have this kind of vision." The weather, pure weather." Tang Long smiled and felt a little relieved in his heart. "Farm, buffalo, it's simply a magic weapon to open the door." But he also knew that the effect of the medicine was limited and he had to rely on himself in the future. Next, Luo Shaoqing and Tang Long cooperated to continue the explanation. When Lei occasionally pointed out a few sentences, the three of them spent nearly a while and finally untied the last layer of seal. The blue crystal stone cracked with a crack sound, and a translucent map fragment appeared from it. The fragments marked the connection point between Misty Forest and Dark Valley. At the same time, the mist around the fort began to dissipate, revealing a hidden path. "It's done!" Luo Shaoqing clenched his fists happily, and Tang Long sighed, feeling that he was one step closer to the goal of the strongest adventurer. Lei pointed out, "It's true, you passed the first link. The map of the Misty Forest has been unblocked by 1/3, and then it's the Dark Island Valley. The magic rules there are more complex and more dangerous. I'm walking with you. One is to see that you have good potential, and the other is, some things should be revealed." "Reveal? What does it mean?" Tang Long was stunned, but Lei didn't say anything more, just turned around and walked towards the small path. Luo Shaoqing patted Tang Long's shoulder and said in a low voice, "Don't ask. Since the front line is willing to lead the way, it is a good thing for us. Let's go." It's not easy to hear from the dark mountain valley, we have to prepare for it. Tang Long pointed his head and felt a little nervous. He looked down at his hand, recalling the funny mockery situation in the battle. He felt that his control of the weird blessings seemed to have improved a little. At least, he began to realize the feeling of the blessings when they were touching. Although he was still unable to talk far away, he had a headache. No matter what, next stop, Dark Mountain Valley, I'm here. Tang Long clenched his fists and followed the steps of Lei and Luo Shaoqing. The three of them headed towards the unknown area. The mist was gradually left behind, and the bigger challenge was quietly waiting for them. Tang Long followed Lei and Luo Shaoqing along the newly unblocked path in the misty forest. The air became colder, and the soil under his feet also changed from a wet grassland to a hard rock. Although the mist around was dissipated a lot, it was replaced by a more dissimilar atmosphere. The sky was getting darker and darker, and the trees around it were twisted into strange shapes, as if they were invaded by some force, with a long black fog hanging on the branches, and occasionally you could hear the low sound from the distance, like a ghost crying. Why is this so angry? Tang Long couldn't help but shrink his neck, followed Luo Shaoqing tightly, and glanced around his eyes, fearing that something would suddenly come out. Luo Shaoqing held the long sword, looked around vigilantly, and said in a low voice, "This should be the Dark Valley. I heard that the magic rules here are completely different from the misty forest. The darkness here will weaken your vision and perception, and may even affect your mind. We must be careful not to be confused by the environment." Lei walked in front, and the wooden stick hit the ground lightly, making a crisp sound. He spoke coldly, "Dark Mountain Valley is the second-level map of the illusion domain, 100 times more dangerous than the misty forest. Not only are there powerful demons here, but also the dark power that can swallow will. If you don't concentrate, you may lose your life at any time. The power of darkness? It's not easy to hear." Tang Long slapped his head. Although he was still talking, his heart was already full of energy. He lowered his head and glanced at the magical recovery aquarium in his mouth, secretly exclaiming himself, "No matter what danger, with this treasure, you can always get rid of it." The three of them continued to go deeper, and the terrain of the valley became narrower and narrower. On both sides were high black rock walls, with ancient runes engraved on the rock walls, scattering faint light. There was a rotten smell in the air, making people feel wailed. After about half a minute of leaving, Lei suddenly stopped and raised his hand to signal the two of them to silence. "It's silence," he said softly, looking forward with a sharp look. Tang Long and Luo Shaoqing looked at him, only seeing the corner of the eye valley ahead, a heavy sound of footsteps, as if some kind of big thing was moving. Then, a strong sense of pressure came over, making people almost breathless. "What's the matter? Such a big fight?" Tang Long muttered in a low voice, his heartbeat couldn't help but speed up. He subconsciously clamped his fists and prepared to face the challenge at any time. Luo Shaoqing had already pulled out the long sword and took out a fighting posture. He said in a low voice, "Be careful, this may be the guardian of the Dark Islands." Hearing that the core groups of the Dark Islands are all guarded by powerful demons. If you want to uncover the group, you must first defeat them. As the voice fell, a huge magic circle walked out of the corner. Its body is 3-story high, covered with black armor, and its head looks like a giant dragon, but there are broken bone wings on its back. The eyes are blushed with agri light, and sticky black liquid dripped in its mouth. Every time it takes a step, the ground trembles slightly. "This is Shadow Dragon," said Xian Lei in a deep voice, with a solemn expression in his voice. "One of the strongest guardians in Dark Island Valley has extremely high strength and defense, and can also control the power of darkness and create illusions. If you are not prepared, it is best to retreat now." "Retreat? What a joke!" Tang Long gritted his teeth. Although his legs were a little soft, a dissatisfied fury ignited in his heart. "I've come here, I'll try it all. Besides, I'll say this blessing may be put on the stage." Luo Shaoqing glanced at him and said helplessly, "You are really not afraid of death?" "Okay, I am the main attacker, you are responsible for controlling it, don't drag your back." Lei snorted coldly, without any objection, but just took a few steps back, and obviously did not intend to take action directly. "If you can defeat the Shadow Dragon Ball, I will point you to unlock the Yaji Valley core. If you fail, don't expect me to save you. Foreign, you are too cold-blooded." Tang Long muttered in a low voice, but he didn't dare to say much. After all, Lei's real strength was unpredictable and he couldn't afford to offend him now. The Shadow Dragon seemed to have noticed the existence of the three people, and made a deafening roar. The huge bone wings slammed a fishy wind. Then it suddenly rushed over, slapped its claws hard at the ground, and a large pit was instantly smashed into the rock, and the gravel was scattered. "Scatter!" Luo Shaoqing shouted loudly, and his body flashed, avoiding the attack. The long sword carried the cold light and pierced the side of the Shadow Dragon's beast. However, the blade slashed on the armor, and only a sound of metal collision was released, leaving no trace behind. "This defense is too distorted." Luo Shaoqing gritted her teeth and quickly retreated to avoid the counter-claw attack of the Shadow Dragon. She turned her head and shouted to Tang Long, "Don't be stunned, find a chance to control it, I'll look for the weak." "I understand." Tang Long pointed his head, although he was not at a loss, but he still slammed his head. He lifted a large stone on the ground, slammed the Shadow Dragon with his strength, and shouted in his mouth, "Hey, big guy, come and catch me." The stone hit the Shadow Dragon, as if it was a slap, without any effect, but it successfully attracted its attention. The Shadow Dragon turned over, and the red eyes stared at Tang Long. Then it opened its bloody mouth, and a group of black fog sprayed out of its mouth, directly rushing Tang Long. "Damn, what is this?" Tang Long was scared and hurriedly hid, but the black fog rubbed against his arm, and a stinging pain came in an instant. He looked down and saw a dark spot on his arm, which made him breathe in cold air. "Be careful, that is the power of darkness, which will invade your body." Luo Shaoqing slapped the claws of the Shadow Dragon and shouted, "If you can't hold it back, please step back, don't force it." "What are you going to retreat?" "I can still beat him." Tang Long gritted his teeth and stood up with force, but the next blow of the Shadow Dragon had arrived, and his huge claws directly slapped his brain, so fast that he couldn't hide at all. "It's over." Tang Long's heart slammed, and he closed his eyes and waited for death. But just as his paw was about to touch him, a familiar heat surged in his body, and the mechanical sound came to his brain, "Ding, blessing touch, teleportation effect, last once, and send it to the nearby area at any time." The next second, Tang Long felt a flash in front of his eyes, and his body seemed to be pulled by some force. Then the whole person disappeared from the spot instantly. The Shadow Dragon's claws slapped the air and smashed it hard to the ground, stirring up a filth of soil. "Where's the person?" Luo Shaoqing was stunned, looking around. She couldn't find Tang Long's shadow at all. At the same time, Tang Long felt dizzy. When he slid his eyes again, he realized that he had appeared in a secret corner of the valley, surrounded by high rock walls, and his head was covered by a layer of black fog, and he could not see the situation outside at all. He looked down and saw an old stone platform under his feet. On the stone platform was a small iron box, with complex runes engraved on the surface, emitting a faint light. "What's this? What's the matter?" Tang Long was stunned, rubbed his eyes, and made sure he didn't see anything wrong. He walked over carefully and tried to open the iron box. As a result, the box buckle automatically popped up with a click. There was an ancient-style ring lying inside. A black gem was embedded in the ring, emitting a strange wave of energy. "Taotsan?" Tang Long's eyes lit up and his heart beat faster. He picked up the ring and put it on his fingers. He felt a warm force swelling out of the ring, quickly wrapping his whole body, and then a low voice came from the Sea of Brain. "The Dark Guard ring enhances defense and can withstand some magic attacks, and the wearer will get the effect of the Shadow Shield." "Awesome! This is a treasure." Tang Long grinned, feeling that his luck was simple and unparalleled. He looked at the ring with his head down and thought to himself, although this teleportation effect is random, it was a coincidence this time. Maybe he can get something good to beat in the future. However, he did not forget the battle outside. He quickly checked around and found that there was a narrow passage far away, which seemed to be able to return to the battlefield just now. He took a deep breath, clamped his fists and ran towards the passage. Shao Qing, hold on, I'm here. At the same time, Luo Shaoqing was in a fierce battle with the Shadow Dragon. After losing Tang Long's control, her pressure doubled. Although her drama was superb, the strength and defense of the Shadow Dragon were too strong. Every attack was difficult to cause actual damage, and she was forced to retreat by the opponent's dark fog. Tang Long, where are you? Luo Shaoqing gritted her teeth, covered in sweat, and the light armor on her body had been drawn out of several holes, and blood was poured out, looking like a wolf was so angry. At this moment, a sound came from the direction of the passage. Shaoqing, I'm back. Tang Long pulled out from behind the rock wall and was wearing the new ring on his hand. His atmosphere was much stronger than before. Where have you gone? Luo Shaoqing was stunned. Seeing that he was fine, he relaxed his voice, but immediately shouted, Don't be stunned, help me control it together. Don't worry, give it to me. Tang Long grinned, rushed to the Shadow Dragon and shouted loudly, Big guy, come and catch me. He said he was avoiding, trying to attract attention. Sure enough, the Shadow Dragon was irritated again, and a dark fog spray was leaking from his mouth. But this time, when the fog hit Tang Long, the ring on his hand suddenly flashed through a black light, and a thin shield appeared, forcing the fog to invade. Effective! Tang Long was overjoyed, his confidence increased, and continued to run around the Shadow Dragon. Although the attack power was almost zero, it successfully distracted it. Luo Shao was in a clear state, and Lima grabbed the opportunity, flashed his body, and the long sword pierced the Shadow Dragon's eyes. That was the only weakness she had just found. The sword light was like a rainbow, and the precise hit was hit. The Shadow Dragon bamboo roared in pain, and the huge body stumbled backwards, and blood stormed out of his eyes. It's done! Luo Shaoqing shouted, taking advantage of the continuous outing of the sword, aiming around his eyes every shot. The Shadow Dragon's movements became slower and slower. Finally, under the last hit, he fell to the ground, and his huge body slammed on the ground, stirring up a scattered soil. Who, finally got it done. Tang Long sat on the ground, panting, looking at the Shadow Dragon's womb, feeling a sense of accomplishment. He turned his head and looked at Luo Shaoqing, giving a thumbs up. Shiqing, your surgery is absolutely true. Luo Shaoqing wiped his sweat and glared at him without any worries. You have the nerve to say, where did you just run away? I thought you were hanging. Don't mention it. My blessing has another strange effect and teleported away directly. But the good thing is that I picked up a treasure. Tang Long raised his hand and showed the dark guard ring, saying proudly, this thing can attack magically, so I'll just use it more, otherwise I would have been corrupted by the black fog. Luo Shaoqing was stunned, and then couldn't help laughing and said, You are so lucky. But if you run around next time, don't blame me for not saving you. The two were talking, and Hao Lei walked over slowly, his eyes swept over the Shadow Dragon on the ground, and he pointed out, No, your cooperation has been reluctant to do so. Since the guard has been defeated, the core group of the Island Valley should also appear. As the sound fell, the corpse of the Shadow Dragon suddenly emitted a blue light, which then turned into a group of light spots, condensed into a translucent map fragment, marked with the connection point between Dark Valley and Flame Wasteland. At the same time, the black fog deep in the Island Valley began to dissipate, revealing a hidden mountain road. It's the map fragment again. Tang Long's eyes lit up, and he took the fragments and carefully said, Fire Wasteland? Just hear the name and know that the next place is not simple. When He Lei took the speech, he had a deep meaning in his language. The Flame Wasteland is the third-level map of the illusion domain, the magic rules are more harsh, and the environment is extremely dangerous. If you want to continue moving forward, you must make every preparation. Luo Shao was staring at the head and asked later, Forward, is the gang in this valley so simple? Fight the Guardian and get the fragments? Ilay snatched his head, his eyes becoming a little confused. No, the gang is far away from this. Every map of the illusion domain hides deeper secrets. Tang Long, your blessings may be connected with these gangs and even the goddess herself. What? My blessings have something to do with the goddess? Tang Long was stunned, his brain could not turn over. Foreign, don't sell Guanzi, tell me clearly. Ilay didn't say anything more, but said coldly, some things are useless to tell you now. When you go deeper, you may find the truth by yourself. Now, focus on the challenge in front of you. Tang Long slapped his head. Although he was full of doubts, he also knew that Ilay didn't want to say too much and could only do it. He looked down at the ring on his hand, secretly recalling the teleportation effect in his battle, and felt that his randomness to blessings seemed to be more suitable. Although he still couldn't actively control it, at least when touching, he could react faster and use the effect to change the situation. No matter what, this blessing is a pitiful, but it has saved me several times. Tang Long said to himself, then clenched his fists, with a little more firmness in his eyes. Next map, the Flame Wasteland. I must be stronger and figure out what this blessing is. Luo Shaoqing patted his shoulder and said with a smile, don't think too much. It's already good for us to get to this point. Let's go, the Flame Wasteland is still waiting for us. Ilay pointed at the head and took the lead in walking towards the newly unlocked mountain road, followed by Tang Long and Luo Shaoqing. The three of them embarked on the road to the fiery wasteland. Although the road ahead was unknown, an unprecedented ambition was ignited in Tang Long's heart. Whether it was the secret of blessing or the ultimate group of the illusion domain, he would unveil it step by step and become the strongest adventurer in this strange world. Tang Long followed Ilay and Luo Shaoqing onto the mountain road leading to the fiery wasteland. The air became hot and the rocks under his feet were burned with sunkenness, and the skyline far away was red, as if it was stained with flames. The scenery on both sides of the mountain road is getting more and more deserted, with almost endless grass and trees replaced by black scorched earth and scattered lava pits. The pits are bubbling and emitting a pungent smell of sulfur. This place is too hot. Tang Long wiped the sweat from his head, feeling like he was thrown into the oven, and his clothes were almost soaked in sweat. He couldn't help complaining, Shiqing, are you sure we haven't taken the wrong path? Why is this flaming wasteland like a terrain? Luo Shaoqing rolled her eyes. The long sword in her hand had been put away by her, but her eyes were still vigilantly looking around. Don't waste, the magic rules of the flame wasteland are high temperatures. The environment here can directly weaken your physical strength and willpower. If you can't handle it, you can only wait for death. Say less and save some energy. Ilay walked in the front, and the sound of the wooden stick hitting the scorched earth was particularly crisp. He opened his mouth coldly. The Flame Wasteland is the third-level map of the illusion domain, and the danger is far beyond the dark valley. The flames here can not only burn the body, but also invade the mind and create illusions. If you don't concentrate, you may be burned into ashes at any time. Boiled into ashes? Tang Long swallowed his saliva, feeling scared, but immediately touched the magical recovery medicine bottle in his arms, and exasperated himself. It's okay, with this treasure here, I can't burn it to death. Besides, my blessing may bring another divine effect. Who are you afraid of? When Luo Shaoqing heard this, she couldn't help but sneer, you are so happy. The blessing is amazing, but you don't expect too much pleasure. You can't cry even if you touch it. Tang Long smiled and did not respond, but he became secretly alert in his heart. He knew that Luo Shaoqing had to say it right. Although this blessing had saved him several times, he was too arrogant and might have given him the effect of hilarious and ridiculed in time, and he still had to rely on himself to be more careful. The three of them continued to go deeper, and the terrain of the flaming wasteland became increasingly complex. The ground cracked into huge gaps. The cracks were thin with rolled lava and the air was filled with heavy smoke, which made people feel a little difficult to breathe. After about a while, Ilay suddenly stopped and raised his hand to signal the two of them to silence. It's unusual, he said softly, looking straight at a lava lake ahead. The red lava was swept over the lake, and the hot waves came over. A huge black shadow appeared in the center, like a kind of creature lying in the lake. What's the matter? Tang Long narrowed his eyes and tried hard to see clearly, but the heat waves and smoke interfered with his visual line, and he could only see that the black shadow had a huge shape and emitted a strong sense of pressure. Luo Shaoqing held the longsword tightly and said in a low voice, "Be careful, this may be the guardian of the flame wasteland." Flame Demon Lord? Tang Long's heart was tight, and he had no time to ask. The lava lake suddenly stormed violently, and then a deafening roar rose. The surface of the lake exploded, and a huge flame beast rose from the middle. It is composed of lava and flames, and is about 10 meters tall. It holds 2 burning giant bells in both hands. It looks like a group of flames. The eyes are filled with red light. Every time it takes a step, the ground is burned with charred marks. Who dares to be good at the flame wasteland? The sound of the Flame Demon Lord was low and violent, as if it was coming from the depths of the earth, which made Tang Long's ears numb. It lifted a huge bell and suddenly slammed, and a wave of flames rolled directly towards the 3 of them. Scatter! Elay shouted loudly, and a wooden stick was slapped, and an invisible barrier was pressed in front of him, barely resisting the slam wave, but the barrier was quickly burned and slapped. Luo Shaoqing and Tang Long hurriedly hid, but the heat waves still came over. Tang Long felt that his face was about to be burned, and even a burnt smell appeared on his clothes. Damn it, this guy is too fierce. Tang Long climbed around the ground and hid behind a rock. When he looked out, he saw that the Fire Demon Lord had approached them, causing the ground to shake every step. The temperature around the lava lake increased sharply, and the air was twisted. Luo Shaoqing gritted her teeth, and a cold light flashed on the long sword. She said to Tang Long with a low voice, "I'm the main attacker, trying to find its weakness. You are responsible for controlling it, don't let it focus on attacking me." "I understand." Tang Long pointed his head, although he was scared, but he still slapped out with his head. He lifted a scorched stone on the ground, threw it at the Fire Demon Lord, and shouted in his mouth, "Hey, big fireball, come and catch me. Let's see if your slap hits me." The stone hit the Flame Demon King, as if it was a slap, but it successfully attracted its attention. The Flame Demon King roared angrily, and the giant slammed at Tang Long. The stone was carrying the burning flames, and a large pit was instantly smashed out of the ground, with 4 lavas. Tang Long was busy and hid, but his arms were still burned by flying lava, and his skin instantly blew, causing him to absorb the cold air. "Ah, it hurts so much." Tang Long covered his arm, feeling that he had no life. But at this moment, a familiar heat surged in his body, and the mechanical sound came to his brain, "Ding Blessing Touch, Flame Immunity Effect, lasting 30 seconds. Effect, completely immune to flame damage, and can absorb flame power to counterattack in a short time." Flame immunity? Tang Long's eyes lit up. He looked down and he saw that his body was wrapped in a faint red light. His wounded arms no longer hurt, and even the heat waves around him had no effect on him. He grinned and his confidence increased. "Ha, come on, fireball, see who burns." The Flame Demon King saw that he had no hair and roared, and the giant bell smashed down again, and a torrent of flames sprayed out from his mouth. Tang Long did not hide this time, but instead rushed into the flames, protecting his body with red light. Not only did the flames not hurt him, they were absorbed into his body and turned into a hot force that gathered onto the fist. "Eat me a punch!" Tang Long roared, jumped up and punched the Flame Demon King in the chest. Although his power was limited, the absorbed flame power burst out with a slam wave, which shocked the Flame Demon King a step back, and even a crack appeared in the lava shell on his chest. Effective! Luo Shaoqing saw the situation. Lima grabbed the opportunity, his figure flashed, and the long sword pricked the crack in the Flame Demon King's chest. The sword light was like a rainbow, piercing into the cracks, and the Flame Demon King let out a painful roar. The flame body shook violently, and the lava was 4 bulges. "Fuck beautifully!" Tang Long shouted excitedly, but the 30-second immune effect quickly ended. The red light on his body dissipated, and the high temperature came over again, making him retreat quickly. The fire demon lord was furious, and a huge gust was blown, and a stronger flame rushed towards Bo Shi. Tang Long couldn't dodge and was directly hit by the Bo Shi. He flew out and fell heavily to the ground. He was injured more and blood was blown out, making him grit his teeth in pain. Tang Long! Luo Shaoqing shouted and tried to rescue her, but the attacks of the fire demon lord followed one after another, forcing her to resist. Lei stood far away, his eyes were cold, as if he was not going to take action, but just said in a low voice, "Xiao Hu, if you can't bear this kind of pain, how can you unlock the ultimate group of the illusion domain?" "Damn, you are helping me." Tang Long gritted his teeth and climbed up with great force, feeling that his bones were about to fall apart. He looked down and was surprised when his wounds touched his eyes, and his physical strength was almost exhausted. He was suddenly looking in his heart, "This big fireball is too strong. I will never have any magical effect anymore." But this time, the blessings were not yet revealed, so Tang Long could only grit his teeth and take out the magical recovery medicine water bottle from it, and took a sip with his hands trembling. In an instant, a warm current swelled all over his body, and the wound was able to match at a speed visible to the naked eye, and his physical strength was restored to a large extent. More importantly, his mental power seemed to be shortened, his brain became abnormally clear, and his movements were much more sensitive than he had just been. "This medicine is awesome." Tang Long's eyes lit up, and he took advantage of the amplification effect and quickly rushed towards the fire demon lord. He ran and shouted, "Shao Qing, cooperate with me, come again." Luo Xiao was staring at the head, and the sword slammed into the crack in the Flame Demon King's chest, forcing it to distract from defense. Tang Long took advantage of the opportunity to go to the side and found a chance to hit the crack with all his strength. This time, the power of the increase in medicine exploded, and the fist was carrying a squid, smashing the crack even bigger. The Flame Demon King let out a roar that shook the sky, and his body swayed violently, and finally fell to the ground, turning into a pile of scattered lava and flames, and finally lost his life. Who, finally got it done. Tang Long sat on the ground, panting, covered in sweat and burnt marks, but his heart was filled with a sense of accomplishment. He turned his head and looked at Luo Shaoqing, grinning, "How is it, am I going to punch this?" Luo Shaoqing wiped his sweat and glared at him with no gaze, "Don't you just don't have a life?" "But I really don't have any more blessings in medicine, otherwise we really can't beat them." Only then did Lei walk over, his eyes swept over the lava slaying on the ground, and he pointed out, "It's good, your cooperation is better than you expected. The Fire Demon Lord is the core guardian of the Flame Wasteland. If you hit it, the group of the Wasteland should also appear." As the voice fell, a blue light suddenly appeared in the center of the skeleton of the Flame Demon Lord, and then condensed into a translucent map fragment, marked with the connection point between the fire wasteland and the wilderness of the sky. At the same time, the high temperature around the lava lake began to recede, revealing a hidden mountain path that leads to the far sky. The body of the sky? Tang Long took the fragment and his eyes lit up. "You will know it's the last map when you hear the name? We should be at the beginning of this progress." Luo Shaoqing looked a little, but immediately said with a brow, "But this group is too simple to solve, right? Fight the Guardian and take the fragments, and it feels like there is no difference from the previous two layers." Lei snatched his head, his eyes becoming a little deeper, "The gang is far away from this. The core secret of the Flame Wasteland is hidden in the magic rules of this map. Have you noticed that just when the battle was just around him, the flames around him had formed illusions several times, trying to interfere with your mind?" Tang Long was stunned. When he recalled that there were indeed several vague phantoms in front of him during the battle, as if he saw the scene of himself being swallowed by flames, but at that time he was determined to confront the enemy and did not think much. "Yes, there are indeed illusions, but what's going on?" Lei turned around and pointed the wooden stick at a charred stone platform in the center of the lava lake. The stone platform was engraved with complex runes, emitting a faint light. "That is the core art of the Flame Wasteland. The Fire Demon Lord is just a guardian. The real group is in this art. Come and crack it with me, or maybe it can reveal the deeper secrets of the illusion realm." the three of them came to the stone platform. Luo Shaoqing carefully observed the runes and said in a low voice, "These runes are much more complicated than the previous 2 levels. They seem to be a sealing method. I have learned some rune knowledge, but this may require the help of the previous one." Xian Lei pointed at the head and studied runes with Luo Shaoqing. Tang Long stood aside, unable to help, so he could only be anxious. After about half a week of deduction, Xian Lei and Luo Shaoqing finally found a breakthrough. The two of them touched several key runes at the same time. The stone platform suddenly shook and a low sound came out. Then a golden light column rose from the center of the stone platform, and a blurry image appeared in the light column. In the image, a woman in silver light stood above the sky, with countless light spots lying around her body, like fragments of some kind of power. Her voice was empty and powerful. "The secret of the illusion is hidden in blessings. Every blessing is a fragment of my power. Only by gathering can we reveal the ultimate truth of the empire of the sky." Goddess? Tang Long's eyes widened. This sound and figure were the goddess he met while traveling through time. His heart was shocked and he murmured, "Blessings are her power fragments? Then the weird blessings on me, can't they be one of the core forces of the illusion domain?" Luo Shaoqing was also stunned, turned to look at Tang Long, with a confused look on his face. "If this is true, then your blessing may not be just a random effect, but a key to some bigger secret." Lei was silent for a moment, and finally opened his mouth, with a heavy voice in his speech. "It's true, the goddess blessing is indeed a fragment of the core power of the illusion domain. I was one of her guardians, responsible for protecting these powers. But many years ago, the illusion domain had a huge change, and the goddess's power was split and turned into countless blessings scattered all over the place, and the final boss, the dominator of the Sky Dome, was the initiator of all this." "What? In the end, the boss has something to do with the goddess?" Tang Long's brain couldn't turn around and couldn't help asking, "Foreign, tell me clearly, what's going on? What's my blessing?" Lei was furious, and his eyes flashed with pain. "Some things are useless to tell you now. When you step onto the turf of the sky, you may see the truth with your eyes. This is the only thing I can tell you, your blessings, or maybe the key to unlocking the ultimate group of the illusion realm, but at the same time, it may also bring in vain danger." Tang Long stood there in a daze, his heart was filled with scent. He looked down at his hand, recalling the various experiences along the way, from the wolf fleeing in the misty forest, to the circumstance of the dark valley, to the moment when the highlight of the Flame Demon King was defeated. He was indeed growing continuously, and his control of blessings became slightly sharper from being completely passive. But now, when he heard what happened to him, he suddenly became confused about his mission. Is this blessing a blessing or a blessing? The goal of exploring the illusion domain by oneself is not just to become the strongest adventurer, but to assume greater responsibilities. "Tang Long, don't think too much." Luo Shaoqing patted his shoulder and said calmly, "No matter what this blessing comes from, we have come to this point, and there is no reason to retreat. The Sky Dome is right in front. Will you know the truth after you go?" Tang Long pointed his head, took a deep breath, and his eyes rekindled his fighting spirit. "Yes, Shaoqing said it right. No matter what secret or boss, I have to look at it. The body of the sky, I'm here." Lei looked at the two people with a little relief in his eyes. "Okay, since you have this determination, I will walk with you. The wave of the sky is the last map of the illusion domain, with magic rules and dangers far beyond this place, but only there can you reveal all the groups, including the true source of the blessings of the goddess." Tang Long clenched his fists and secretly swore in his heart, no matter how difficult the road ahead is, he will go to the end, not only to become the strongest adventurer, but also to find out the secret of his blessings and the truth behind the illusion. He looked down at the aquarium in his arms, and the dark guard ring on his hand. The help he received along the way gave him more confidence to face the final challenge. "Let's go, the sky is under the sky, wait for me." Tang Long grinned, followed the steps of Lei and Luo Shaoqing, and the three of them headed towards the newly unlocked mountain road. The hot waves of the flame wasteland were left behind, and even greater challenges and secrets were quietly waiting for their arrival. Tang Long, Luo Shaoqing and Yun Lei walked along the Yunshao mountain road leading from the flaming wasteland to the sky. The coke rock soil under his feet had disappeared, and was replaced by a thin fog-shaped road. On both sides are the deep and low-rise sky. The sky far away is a chaotic color, and there is always purple flashing toward the cloud layer, as if there is any horror at any time, non-linear is about to burst out from it. There is a sense of pressure that is difficult to describe in the air, making people feel heavy every time they take further. This is the sky's embankment? Tang Long couldn't help but mutter to himself in a low voice, wiping the sweat that came out of the head. Although the environment was not as hot as the flame wasteland, the inexplicable aura that came from around him made him even more unsuitable. His men knew that the secret medicine water bottle was touched in the underworld, and Oxford was secretly alert. There is always a scroll point for this place. Luo Shaoqing walked beside him, and the disorder held the cold light drama that accompanied him all the way, looked around with a sharp look, heard Tang Long's doubts, and pointed, "It should be right." Looking at the cloud layer in front, there is light and shadow floating, and there may be some big guys lying on it. The wave of the sky is the last map of the illusion domain, and the magic rules must be more complicated, so we have to prepare mentally. Yun Lei walked in front, and the old staff in his hand gently knocked on the empty road under his feet. Every time there was a faint light spreading from the staff to explore the surrounding environment. Hearing the conversation between the two, Yun Lei said in a deep voice, "The embankment of the sky is not only the last level of the map, but also the place to try. The environment here can distort perception, create illusions, and even invade the storing. It is said that only by trying to find the storing layer can you truly get closer to the core of the illusion domain and reveal the truth about the blessing of the goddess." Try it? What to try it? Tang Long exchanged. Lima in Oxford was curious, but at the same time, he was also a little nervous. Although his growth along the way has increased his confidence, he also knows that he is far away from the real strongest adventurer. Develop turned his head and looked at him, with a complex aft in his eyes. "You will understand the specific test when you encounter it. Now, focus on the road in front of you first. The first layer of defense in the sky is about to be on the line of sight. If you should be strong, give up as soon as possible." Give up? What a joke! Tang Long grinned and patted his chest. "I've walked here, how could I give up? Besides, I have blessings and medicine, and I have to fight together." Luo Shaoqing said in a speech, and couldn't help rolling his eyes, but a hint of relief appeared at the corner of his mouth, and said in a low voice, "Iran is getting more and more like this. No, Abdullah, Millennium is hard to beat. I'll take the lead if you encounter something." The three of them were talking orthogonal, and the cloud layer far away suddenly swelled violently, and then the deep sound of the birds rose, as if the sky was torn apart and a crack appeared, and dozens of lights and shadows emerged from it. Each figure was covered with armor, holding a spear shining with cold light in his hand, and a faint aft ring was ringing on the top, with its air gushing and swaying, like a Tianwai army that was pressed down from the depths of the clouds. "Who dares to be good at the sky?" The first aft figure's voice was low and twitching, which made Tang Long's ears buzz. Its eyes were locked at the three people, and the aft ring around its body suddenly lit up. Then the entire cloud layer began to move violently. 10 figures scattered their spears and pointed at the three people, pushing their way. What kind of battle is fit debugging? Tang Long was shocked, and pushed his head out of his mind, but a group of fights ignited. The visitor, no matter what it is, you have to fight. You may be able to pass their defense. Luo Shaoqing bowed and quickly slapped into a fighting posture. Han Guangjian stepped in front of him and said in a low voice, "These should be the first aquifer core in the land of the sky. Hearing that their power comes from the power of develop, it has extremely high defense and energy impact. I may not be the opponent if I fight alone. We have to cooperate." Develop stood behind, with a stick in his hand lightly hitting the ground, staring at the army with a sharp edge, and said in a deep voice, "No, the Tianwai army is the first-level defense of the land of the sky. Although it is not the strongest, it is large in number, and it is extremely strict in cooperation. Tang Long, you have blessings on your body, or you can seek a breakthrough. Xiaoqing, I am responsible for covering up, and I will look for the way out. I understand. Tang Long pointed his head, although he was nervous, but a group of fights ignited. The dangers from Misty Forest to debug now have made him a vicious life. Now, facing these Tianhui troops, Iran wants to see how capable he is. Those who are good at it are you. Tianhua's figure shouted angrily, and a spear in his hand slammed, and dozens of beams of light burst out from the army, directly slamming the three people in JG. Wherever the beam reaches, the road to the sky is shaken slightly, and a wave of air gushing through the develop layer. Do not! Luo Xiaoqing shouted loudly, and his body flashed, quickly avoiding a beam of light. At the same time, the cold light slammed, and the sword swelled up, causing several beams to slant. Her body was thin, and too many beams still passed by, forcing her to push back. Xiaoqing! Tang Long's eyes roared and quickly rushed to her. Although he didn't have the valve defense equipment, he just told him that he had to be hard. Sure enough, when several beams of light were about to hit him, the familiar mechanical sounds suddenly echoed in the brain. Touch, endless counterattack blessing, last for 1 minute. Effect, immune energy impact, and with the increase in counterattack power, break the enemy's defense. Absolute reaction? Tang Long's eyes lit up. The next second, he was covered with a golden light. The beams of light coming towards him seemed to be blocked by some force, and exploded directly in front of him, without hurting him at all. On the contrary, a golden light suddenly ignited from his fists, as if a force was pouring out from the depths of his heart, causing him to suddenly rush towards the Tianhui army. JG! Tang Long shouted loudly and smashed his fists hard at the nearest figures of Tianhua. The golden light burst and disappeared, and wherever the fist reached, several figures were shattered, and their bodies exploded into a group of lights, disappearing in the develop layer. Tang Long! You! Luo Xiaoqing was stunned, and then a burst of surprise and relief flashed in her eyes. It's awesome! This blessing is becoming more and more like this. Yun Lei stood behind, clicking his head, and a faint smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. It's good to debug, boy. I've begun to master the side of my blessing. Although I'm in touch, it can turn the crisis into a turnaround. But the number of troops in the day was not as large as Notre Dame de Paris. Although it was smashed by Tang Long, more light and shadows quickly regained their positions. The spear in his hand pressed again, and a more intense energy light group appeared on the tip of the spear, as if it was about to explode and the sky was blown. Come again? Tang Long gritted his teeth. Although the ultimate response blessing that he had just touched was still continuing, he also felt that the golden light on his body began to become thinner, and it was obvious that the time limit was about to arrive in 1 minute. My heart was tightened, but I didn't push my feet back, but instead rushed up, and shouted in my mouth, "Come on, fight!" Tang Long, behind. Luo Xiaoqing suddenly shouted loudly, and his figure flashed. The cold light slammed behind him, forcing him to hold a group of energy beams that were about to hit. The sword was shaking violently by the beam of light, but she gritted her teeth and held her face a little pale because of its strong strength. I said, "I'll go first. Millennium cares about myself." Xiaoqing. Tang Long exchanged a warm current surged in Oxford and said, "Okay, let's fight together." He quickly turned around, and took advantage of the last few seconds of blessings. His fists burst out golden light again, smashing hard at the figure of Tianhua recently. Sure enough, wherever the golden light reached, the aft ring of Tianhua's figure was shattered, and his body exploded into light spots one after another. But the minute of blessing finally came to an end, and the golden light on Tang Long's body disappeared. Then the whole person was shocked by a reversal force and pushed a few steps, falling down and losing. Fortunately, Luo Xiaoqing had quick eyes and quick hands, and quickly grabbed his arm and pulled him back to her. Roar. Just that moment, I almost lost my life. You're still awesome. Tang Long smiled. Although his face was a little pale, his eyes were so bright that it was 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 so hard that it was very hard. Develop Lei stepped forward and pointed out, "No, your blessings are getting more and more frequent. Debugging is a sign of growth. Mose's response proves that you are beginning to control the power of touching. Debug is the response of the sky's dome. These Tianwai troops are not enough to be afraid, but later, there are stronger trials. Sure enough, Develop's voice fell, and the cloud layer far from the road to the sky swept over again, and a larger figure of light and shadow emerged from it. It was 3 floors tall and had a denser golden light ring, and it was surrounded by denser golden light rings. It held a huge light spear in its hand, and its atmosphere was more terrifying than the just-shot Tianwai army. Anyone who was good at ease, except the Yunxiao review. The huge light and shadow shouted angrily, and a spear of golden ramming beams burst out from the develop layer. Each of them was stronger and faster than the previous small beam. Wherever the ramming was reached, the road to the sky was shaken and rummaged. Damn it, is the big boss? Tang Long was shocked, but his heart ignited a stronger fight. The visitor, no matter what it is, fight. He quickly rolled forward. Although he did not touch the blessing again, he felt that he had experienced the battle along the way, avoided a beam of light, and punched the ground at the same time, trying to counterattack with a punch. But the light and shadow figure was far stronger than he imagined. The huge light spear slammed again, and several beams of light combined to form a larger group of raids. Ak exploded in the direction where Tang Long and the other 2 were. Wherever the light ring reaches, the develop layer is torn apart, struck as invisible with a hidden slit. Be careful. Luo Shaoqing shouted loudly and quickly rushed to Tang Long. Han Guang's sword slapped and forced a small amount of slamming with the sword, but her figure was also pushed back and slid back for a few steps, and a silkworm overflowed from the corner of her mouth, which seemed to be hurt. Shaoqing. Tang Long's eyes roared, his heart was shocked, and he quickly swept to her and held her. You're fine, right? Cough. I didn't have a valve, just wipe it off. Luo Shaoqing gritted her teeth and stood firm, but she was determined. I said, I'll go first. You can fight back quickly, we have to pass together. Yun Lei stood behind, staring at the huge light and shadow with a sharp look, and said in a deep voice, Shaoqing is not wrong. Debug light and shadow are one of the testers of the wave of the sky and the Yunxiao reviewer. It has extremely strong power, but there are loopholes in its defense. If it can hit the core of the center light ring, it can directly break its defense. Tang Long, be prepared. I understand. Tang Long pointed his head, although he was nervous, but a group of fights ignited. He quickly rushed to the interviewer of the develop. Although he had no blessings on his body, he forced himself to see and experience the battle, quickly rushed to the front of the light and shadow, and smashed his fists hard at the core of the light ring. Sure enough, the core of the light ring was hit by a punch, and a dazzling golden light burst out. Then the whole light and shadow trembled, and a roar came out of his mouth, but the body began to collapse quickly, turning into a group of light spots, disappearing in the cloud layer. It's done! Tang Long gasped and sat on the road to empty air. Although he was so tired, he felt a sense of accomplishment. It's broken. We've passed. Luo Shaoqing wiped the freshness of the corner of her mouth and said, It's true, yours is more than they did at the beginning. If you weren't the top, we might have had to be fully covered. Develop Lei walked forward, and pointed his head, with a little more relief in his eyes. The Heavenly Army and the developed Sky Reviewers are both the first-class trials of the Land of the Sky. Through them, you can tell that you have grown to meet the level. No, Abdullah, the real trial is still behind. Valve? Still? Tang Long was stunned, but immediately grinned. No matter how valve it is, let's fight each other. The turbulence of the sky, I want to flatten it. In his speech, a complex light flashed out of the silence, and he said in a low voice, It's good, the ultimate test of the sky is related to the truth of the goddess blessing. Tang Long, I can tell you now your blessing is actually designed to promote the king of the illusion realm. The goddess turns the power into blessing fragments and scatters all over the place, in order to find the most qualified adventurer. Every blessing state you touch is part of the goddess trial. What? The test of the king of the illusion realm? Tang Long was stunned, his brain could not turn over. JG, then, the blessing on me is to be the king? Develop pointed his head, with a deep meaning in his eyes. It's true, the truth of the goddess blessing is a king's trial. Every map trial is to test whether you are qualified to be present. You have proven that you have the potential, but you are still a long way from the real king. When Luo Shaoqing heard this, her eyes became complicated and she looked down at Tang Long. Then, Tang Long, if you are the one who is blessed, you may have to face a more terrifying trial next. We have to continue to pick them up together. Don't worry. Tang Long clenched his fist and pointed, I'm going to the end of what I want to do with Uber, the truth about Valve. The sky is in the sky. I want to become the king of the illusion domain. Yunlei pointed his head and turned around and physized the deeper path of the sky, then it is worth it. The final group of the wave of the sky is still ahead. Unlocking it, you may face the final boss of the illusion realm, the Shadow Demon Emperor. Its power is far beyond all enemies here, but if you defeat it, you can continue to be the king of the illusion realm. Shadow Demon King? Tang Long's eyes lit up, and Oxford's head lit up. The visitor, okay. I'll beat it if Uber, what is it? King of the illusion realm, I'm sure. The three of them put out again, and continued to go deeper along the sky go. The pressure in the cloud layer became stronger and stronger. A low roar appeared in the surrounding hollow cracks, as if the breath of the Shadow Demon Emperor had finally begun to spread. Tang Long clenched his fist tightly, and his heart ignited a flaming struggle that became the king of the genre, ready to welcome the final battle. The full text of this section is about 2,500 words, accounting for 40% of the total story. It has been combined with the previous text to ensure that the plot is consistent and the protagonist grows. The final boss will be faced in the next stage. The end, the rise of the king of the illusion realm. Tang Long, Luo Shaoqing and Yunlei stood at the deepest part of the sky go in the corner of the sky. The clouds around seemed to be covered by a heavy layer of hiding. The low roars that came from the hollow crack became clearer, as if the entire illusion domain was trembling for the final battle that was about to arrive. The sky far away cracked and filled the huge black slut, with deep and terrifying energy flowing in the slut, as if leading to another analog door. An unprecedented sense of pressure is filled with the air, making people feel heavy in their hearts every time they breathe. It's here. Tang Long said to himself in a low voice, wiping the sweat that came out of his head. Although the situation along the way made him grow up, a little nervous in his heart at this time. Luo Shaoqing stood beside her, holding the cold light sculptor who had been with her all the way, and glared at the remote chieftain, and said softly, Tang Long, this time is different. The wave of the sky is the last map, and the Shadow Demon Emperor is probably the ultimate boss of the illusion domain. We have to prepare everything, and if we go, we may never be able to get back. Develop Lei leaned on his old stick and looked at the gap with deep eyes, and said in a deep voice, Shi Qing said it reasonably. Shadow Demon UNC is the ultimate dominant of the illusion realm, and its power is far beyond all previous enemies. It is said that it is one of the sources of the Goddess Blessings division, controlling the deepest dark power of the illusion realm. Tang Long, if you have blessings on your body, it may become the key to defeating it, but you must also be mentally prepared. This battle may do everything for you. Rose as much as possible. Tang Long switched for a moment, grinned immediately, patted his chest, referred to the eunuch, I have all come here. I will do the same for the Valve as much as possible, just fight. Besides, I have blessings and medicine, and I will have to bear it. Develop spoke in his voice, a complex aft light flashed in his eyes, and he pointed and said, Okay, if you have such an understanding, I will help you. No, you must not be distracted in the battle. The power of the Shadow Demon UNC can invade the mind and even distort your will. Don't be confused by it. The three of them put on a tidy set and approached the chief. As the distance was closer, the energy fluctuations in the gap became more and more obvious. There was a low and strange sound in the hidden hole, like a low moan from the depth of the empty space. The good guy welcomes the review, the illusion belongs to me. Valve sound? Tang Long's heart was tightened, and his mind was accelerating, but a stronger fight ignited in his heart. The visitor, no matter what it is not a good deal for Valve when it is heard, and he fucked it. Luo Xiaoqing's eyebrows were clear, and the cold light drama in his hand moved slightly, as if he felt the pressure of the power ahead. His face was a little solemn, and he said in a low voice, "Be careful, this sound may be the willpower of the shadow demon UNC. Hearing that it can invade the mind and make people feel irresistible, we must calm down." Yunlei pointed the head, the disorder stick lightly underscore number hit the sky go, the stick emitting a slight light, like a protective cover covering the three of them, and said in a deep voice, "It's pretty clear. The power of the Shadow Demon Emperor can invade the will, but its original power is weak, its core of the heart. If it can hit the core, it can instantly weaken its defense, or even fatal." The core of the heart? I understand. Tang Long's eyes lit up and he clenched his fists. Although his heart was tight, a stronger fight was also ignited. "The visitor, no matter what darkness, I will smash it if the valve invades it. I am not just saying that as the king of the illusion realm." During the negotiations between the three, the chief suddenly slammed into a fierce scene, and then a huge figure emerged from it. Its body is 10 feet tall, and its whole body is made of thick black fog. Its double-eyed ape is as red as a burning purple. It holds a dark blade condensed by the energy of the empty space. Its body is surrounded by several chain-like dark energy. Every complete chain seems to be able to lock in the empty space, and its air is so strong that people can almost stop it. "Who dares to challenge my territory?" The Shadow Demon Emperor's voice was low and terrifying, like a roar from the depths of the empty space, which made the road to the sky tremble slightly. It lifted a blade and slammed it suddenly, and several black energy hit the three people. Wherever it hit, the cloud layer was torn apart, revealing the cracks in the air. "Do not to hide." Yunlei shouted loudly, and his disorder rod quickly blew up, releasing a stronger light shield. Communication stopped the light shield, but the light shield was quickly invaded by energy, and cracks appeared. Develop's face darkened and he said in a low voice, "I can't hold its invasion, but the energy impact is too strong. Tang Long, Xiaoqing, quickly counterattack." "I understand." Luo Xiao looked clear and his body flashed, and quickly rushed towards the Shadow Demon Emperor. The cold light swayed, and the sword swelled out an arc of light, piercing its body, but when the sword squirted, it seemed to be absorbed, with no hair hurt. On the contrary, Shadow Demon UNC swung her backhand, and the dark chains were approaching Luo Xiaoqing, forcing her to quickly retreat and be tied up by the chains. "Xiaoqing!" Tang Long's eyes roared and quickly rushed to her. Although he didn't have any protective equipment, he just told him that he had to be hard. When the chain was about to hit him, the familiar coupled sounds suddenly erupted in the sea of brain, touch, extreme reverse blessing, lasting for 3 minutes. Effect: God invades / licenses invades the extreme power, breaking the enemy's will to defend. Extremely reversed. Tang Long's eyes lit up. The next second, he was covered by a layer of gold chief's body. The dark chain that came towards him seemed to be hit by some force and exploded in front of Ak username, without any injury. Instead, a golden chief light suddenly ignited through his fists, as if an unprecedented force stormed out from the bottom of his heart, causing him to rush towards the Shadow Demon UNC. "JG!" Tang Long shouted loudly, and his fists hit the core of the Shadow Demon UNC's body, like its heart. The golden black light burst out, and wherever the fist went, the fog was torn apart, and a crack was shattered. The Shadow Demon UNC's huge body shook, and a roar came out of his mouth, but his figure did not disintegrate. Plus / the dark blade suddenly blew, and a stronger dark slam broke out. "Isn't it enough?" Tang Long gritted his teeth. Although the extreme reverse blessing was still continuing, he also felt that the light on his body began to become thinner, and it was obvious that the time limit of 3 minutes was about to arrive. My heart was tightened, but I didn't push my feet back, but instead rushed up, and shouted in my mouth, "Come on, fight. Tang Long." Luo Xiaoqing shouted loudly, and her body quickly rushed to his side. The cold light slammed, helping him to hold a dark slam, but her body was pushed back and slipped for a few steps, and a silkworm overflowed from the corner of her mouth. Her face was determined. "I said, I'll go first. You can fight back quickly, we have to fight together. Develop stood behind, staring at Shadow Demon UNC with a sharp look, and said in a deep voice, "No, the Shadow Demon Emperor's core is its weakness, but its road defense is extremely strong, and the power of blessing is not enough. Tang Long, try to use medicine to increase the amplification, or can explode stronger power to break the core." Medicinal water? Tang Long was stunned and immediately responded. Abdullah quickly took out the bottle of magical water from his back. He held the bottle with his fingers tremblingly. He looked down and saw that the last small mouthful of the blue liquid in the bottle was left, flashing the last aft of the light. He felt hot and gritted his teeth and said, "Okay, fight. The last hit is fucking it." He quickly drank the last small sip of medicine, and in an instant a warm current swelled all over his body. The wound was compatible with the speed visible to the naked eye, and his strength increased several times. More importantly, his consciousness became unusually clear, and an unprecedented energy seemed to be injected into his brain. His two fists ignited a raging gold chief light, and his breath stormed. The whole person seemed to have changed. "Shadow Demon UNC, come!" Tang Long shouted loudly, and his fists hit the core of the Shadow Demon Emperor hard. Wherever the fist went, the air was distorted. The light of the gold chief burst and opened to tear the air's defense, hitting the center of the core. Shadow Demon UNC's huge body shook even more violently, and a deafening roar came out of her mouth. Then the dark fog began to disintegrate, turning into a group of light spots, disappearing into the air. "It's done." Tang Long gasped and sat on the road to empty air. Although he was so tired, he felt a sense of accomplishment. "It's broken. Have we passed it?" Luo Shaoqing wiped the freshness of the corner of her mouth, and she looked tired. Although her face was tired, her eyes were filled with relief. "No, Tang Long, the last blow just happened, and it exploded. Medicinal water and blessings is the perfect match." Develop stepped forward, with a complex light added to it, and he pointed out, "Xiao Hu, I didn't expect you to really get to this point. That year, as one of the testers of the illusion realm, I also challenged the Shadow Demon Emperor, but in the end I failed to reach the core of its dark will. Now that I see you breaking it, I am convinced." "Foreign, you." Tang Long was stunned for a moment. Unexpectedly, Develop lay past like this, and hurriedly stood up and said, "Foreign, what if it failed that year? Now let's stand here together. Aren't you being, I'm going to the end?" Yun Lei spoke, a warmth flashed in his eyes, and he pointed out, "No, little boy, although I have missed the past, it is great relief to see you grow up to this year. Your blessings have proved that you are a qualified successor to the king of the illusion world." Luo Shaoqing stood aside, heard Yun Lei's words, and a light of relief flashed in her eyes. She patted Tang Long on the shoulder. "Hey, the young man in the waist, he doesn't look like the waist now. From the mist forest to the present, your growth is much faster than I thought, and I am happy for you too." "Shaoqing." Tang Long grinned, a warm current surged in his heart, and he said with a slight note, "Thank you. I have you and me all the way, and I have been here to this day. Although UNC failed, our path is not over, right?" Develop pointed his head, looking at the deepest point of the flash of the far from afar, and said in a deep voice, "It's okay. Although the Shadow Demon UNC has failed, the ultimate truth of the illusion realm has not been revealed. Strike it to show that you have control over the power of blessings. Now, it is the time to become the king of the illusion realm. The king of the illusion domain." Tang Long lowered his head, clenched his fists, and recalled the journey in the sea of mind, from the wolf in the mist forest to the celestial elephant in the dark valley, from the flaming wasteland to the turbulent sky. The growth of each map has transformed him from a wasteland to a real adventurer. An unprecedented struggle ignited in my heart. The visitor, okay. King of the illusion realm, I am determined. No matter what kind of destiny is, I will become the strongest." Develop Lei and Luo Shaoqing looked at each other, and their eyes were filled with relief. Yun Lei said in a deep voice, "Xiao Hu, since you have this heart, the future of the illusion domain will be handed over to you. See, the ultimate door of the zodiac sign has been opened, and you are ready." Sure enough, Develop's voice fell, and a golden light suddenly burst out from the deepest part of the fiery crack. A huge golden door floated out in the light. The ancient patterns on the door were filled with hunchbacks, and the goddess's energy fluctuations flowed in the hidden, like the final summoning in the illusion domain. Tang Long took a deep breath and turned to look at Develop Lei and Luo Shaoqing. It was a sure thing. Forward, Shaoqing, let's go together. I want to create the future of the illusion domain with my hands. Develop pointed his head, and Luo Shaoqing also held the cold light drama tightly, and a fight ignited in her eyes. The visitor, okay. Tang Long, let's go together. The three of them walked shoulder toward the golden door, and the energy fluctuations behind the door became more and more obvious. The goddess's voice was also heard in the hint, the blessing, my present position, the king of the illusion domain, has arrived. Tang Long heard this sound. Oxford was shocked, and he recalled his growth in his brain, from an ordinary wasteland boy to being blessed by the goddess, to an enemy who defeated the enemy, controlling the power of blessing, and becoming an adventurer in the illusion domain. Every step in every battle is his ultimate goal, to become the king of the illusion domain. King of the illusion realm, I'm here. Tang Long clenched his fists, his eyes fixed, and led Develop Lei and Luo Shaoqing into the golden door. Behind the door, a golden light spread, as if welcoming their future. From then on, the illusion world ushered in a brand new era of peace. Tang Long became the king of the illusion domain, controlling the power of blessings, leading teams to explore every unknown map, resolve crises, and protect the people of the illusion domain. His name spreads throughout every corner of the illusion domain, becoming a saying in the hearts of young adventurers. Luo Shaoqing became his most powerful companion, and crisis after crisis began under the cold light drama. As a wisdom guide, he guided him to unlock the deeper group of illusion domains. The three of them worked together to save the illusion domain to create a new world of peace that truly belongs to the adventurer. Tang Long stood at the top of the sky, looking back at the foot of the journey, from the mist forest to the sky, from an ordinary boy to the king of the illusion domain. The growth of each map made him feel deeply. Only true growth can change to true peace. Illusion, my home. Tang Long murmured to himself in a low voice. A satisfying smile appeared on the corner of his mouth, and his eyes looked at the developed sky far away, like the future of the Bell illusion. The final text has a total of about 2,500 words, accounting for 100% of the total story, completely ending the growth arc of Tang Long from the young man of the wasteland to the king of the illusion domain. Drag the car, combining the content of the previous text, ensuring the plot is consistent and giving readers a deep sense of satisfaction.